Well, thanks for watching the whole video. We've tried to deal with everything we could within that, but of course there are always questions. So this section is the frequently asked questions section, and we will certainly welcome your questions and we'll add them if we can going forward. First of all, I want to emphasize one thing. Yes, I am essentially the spokesperson, salesperson for the project, but you are also dealing directly here with the owner, operator, managers of the hotel. We are not intermediaries. We are accountable to you. You can reach us directly. So there is more of a sense of, again, real accountability when you're dealing directly with the sponsors, owners, managers, the people you expect to deliver for you, because we have to perform. So let's deal with the key questions. What's the risk? Well, of course, that's the obvious first question, but it's a very large one, and I can't really give you a specific guaranteed answer on it. But again, throw in some observations. This is not a mutual fund. This is an actual specific business. It's an existing building. It's an existing business. It has cash flow right now. You are dealing with experienced people. And please take a look at the operating example, take a look at the number assumptions in there, the revenues, the room rates, etc. Do they seem reasonable? This is a rare investment situation where you actually can sort of take the time and understand the actual assumptions underlying that business, the projections. Are they realistic? You can go and see the building. You can meet us specifically. Is there a risk? Yes, of course, there's always a risk. But in the past, we've had to rely on sort of those general assumptions. If it's good for General Motors, it's good for America. Well, what happened to General Motors? What happened to Enron? What happened to Bear Stearns? What happened to Nortel? What happened to all those blue chip guaranteed investments that the man from the bank gave you his card and says, look, we're financial advisors. This is a guaranteed investment. In this case, you can make reasonable assumptions. You can make reasonable decisions on your own. It is your investment. It is our business. We're in this together. Another piece of the investment that gives you some security is it is actually real estate. You are actually owning a specific piece of real estate. You can sell that real estate down the road. You have control over this, which you don't have in just buying a stock, as it were. Then you're basically part of a large entity. If the entity has an issue, you don't have the recourse of having a particular piece of real estate. Can you choose that suite? Yes, you actually can. You can choose a specific suite within the building. This is not a timeshare. This is not a syndication where you're basically part of the group. You choose a specific suite. And the reality is that it doesn't really matter which suite you choose, because all of the funds from all the suites, no matter what the rate, no matter what the occupancy, go into one centralized reception. So do all the revenues from all the weddings, from all the banquets, from parking, from room service, from everything that comes into that hotel goes into one central pot, as it were. All the expenses are paid, including the taxes, including what might otherwise be condo fees. There are no actual expenses on a day-to-day basis for you. All the revenues, all the expenses are consolidated, and then you're getting a share at the end, a fixed share, which you know from the beginning, of the overall revenue. There's never going to be a cash call. We're never going to contact you and say we had a bad month, send some money. That is the manager's responsibility. We will take care of those cash flow issues. You're simply going to get a share of those profits. And again, there is a fixed return, 5%. It's your guaranteed minimum, which is better than any bank's paying you right now. You have fixed return plus a share of those profits. Another question we get is, how realistic are those profits? Again, I suggest to you, take a look at the operating example and see how realistic the assumptions are. We believe they're very realistic. We have used room rates that we get from the Convention Tourism Association. We have used room rates that you can go online and compare. What are other hotels charging in there? What is a reasonable assumption? Those numbers are there for you to take a look at. So we think that the profit projections, and they are projections, are very realistic. We think you'll be looking at an overall return in the teens, 10 to 15% at least, for this profit share on the operations. But you get the 5% for sure, and you can take a careful look at the other returns. Can I sell it? Yep, you can sell it anytime through any agent. We will sell it for you. We will offer that service, and for the first 2 years, we give you a guaranteed buyback where we'll buy it back from you. If you bought it for $100,000, we'll buy it back for $100,000. No loss, no downside, and you get any of the revenues you receive throughout. You can keep those revenues. We'll give you that guaranteed return. In return for that, we do have the option for first right of refusal if you sell it. We believe strongly in this. We hope you do too. How long for the makeover? We are going to do a significant makeover on the hotel. Probably takes 6 months to a year overall, but we're never going to close the hotel. We will never turn down $1 of business. If we have a big weekend, we're keeping the whole thing open. In practice, Consider this hotel. It is 9 floors of guest rooms, 7 full floors. On average, there's over 60 suites per floor. Half a floor we can shut down at a time, so that's barely 30 suites. Out of 484 suites, the impact on occupancy levels to shut down a half a floor at a time is minimal. And keep in mind that of the 484 suites in the building, over 90% are identical. So the makeover is going to be pretty mechanical, zoom through the building. It's not where we have to go into each suite and say, well, you know, what are we going to do in this one? Everyone is pretty much the same. It is a formula because we want to give a guaranteed good guest experience. So we'll never shut down, we'll never turn down any revenue on the building. So as you know, you have 1 night per year you can stay in the building if you bought a suite. Can I stay more than 1 night? Well, sure you can. All you have to do is pay for it. But you know, keep in mind, this is no different from a restaurant. You open a restaurant, you invite your friends for dinner, you host, and then you figure out the restaurant isn't doing so well. Well, there's a reason for that. You should be so lucky as to never be able to even get your 1 night in the building, because that means the business, and this is a business investment, this is not a resort timeshare, the business is doing very, very well. Question we get quite often is the 99,000 Canadian or US funds? It's Canadian funds. Your investment is in Canadian dollars. Yes, guests at the hotel are paying in US dollars, but the distribution is Canadian dollars. It's coming through a Canadian company. There are no cross-border tax implications to it. You're making a Canadian investment again, you're paying in Canadian dollars, and you're getting a return based in Canadian percentages. I sort of smile a little bit at that one because 5% is 5%. You know, percentage of profits is the same percentage of profits. It doesn't matter. Treat these as Canadian dollars because that's the way you're investing and that's the way you're being paid. Can more than 1 person buy a unit? Yes, certainly more than 1 person can buy a unit. You can have 2, 3, 4 people as long as the $100,000 comes in on the unit and we pay it to one place. We're not going to do divided checks, as it were. Do I have to buy a unit? No, you don't have to buy a unit. The investment starts as low as $10,000. You're not getting a unit for $10,000, but you are getting a guaranteed 7% on your money. For $35,000, you're getting 8% on your money. For $60,000, you're getting 10% on your money. At the $100,000, which goes to the 12, you are better off to buy the unit. But you don't have to invest $100,000. You can go from $10,000 up and you're getting a darn good return and participation in a rather fun investment. Can I switch returns? We have had that question. Well, no, you got to choose your return. We can't have these things changing around on a daily basis. You know, do you want profit share? Do you want a fixed return? It's a pretty simple division comfort zone. You make your decision and you stay with it. Can I increase the dollars? I'm putting in $10,000 now, but I think I might want to buy a suite later. Well, yes, if we have any suites available, certainly you can. And the change in returns will go from that time forward. So what's our marketing strategy? How are we going to make this hotel an even better return than it is currently performing? Well, quite frankly, we're improving the product. We're doing a dramatic makeover in the hotel. We're dramatically improving the marketing. There's more hands-on management in the building itself. There are so many examples in this building, and this is why I got intrigued with it in the first place when I stayed there one night. There's so many examples in this building of money that's simply left on the table. Whether it's the parking garage, the parking facilities in this building can accommodate 700 cars at a time. Most of the time they're giving the parking away for free. This is a multi-million-dollar revenue source that is currently generating a few $100,000. That could probably be multiplied by 7 to 8 times. The audiovisual supplies, they're generating as little right now per year as an average major, say, pharmaceutical convention would do in 1 week. They're just not trying. Can you believe a hotel this large, nearly 500 rooms, 7,000 person accommodation in the conference center? They don't even have a coffee shop. To me, that is just guaranteed revenue. It's so simple, it's so obvious. They don't even have the coffee shop. There's so many revenue streams that we will increase for this hotel. It isn't just the room rates. And when we talk about room rates and we talk about occupancy, let's put that in context. We do get asked, what's the occupancy now compared to Buffalo in general? Well, the occupancy in the hotel right now is about 54-55%. The occupancy in Buffalo is 72%. Aha, you say, so it's not as good. Well, you know, as they say, there's lies, damn lies, and statistics. Statistics can be manipulated to basically come up with any conclusion you want. Let's look at these numbers. Adams Mark has 484 rooms. The average hotel in Buffalo right now, take the Adams Mark out of the mix, Buffalo Grand as it will be, this hotel has close to 500 rooms. the average hotel in Buffalo has barely 100 rooms. So at 54%, they're currently generating 275 guests per night. The average hotel in Buffalo is generating under 100 guests per night. So there's 3 times as many guests per night staying currently in the Buffalo Grand as there are in any other hotel in Buffalo. That's a good start, shall we say. In terms of rates, again, why I stayed at the hotel initially, why I got interested, is the rate there that night was $60. And I'll tell you what my reaction to that was, and it probably would have been yours. At $60, you have to think, what's wrong with it? Is it out in the boonies? Has it got no services? Is something functional? Was there a fire there? Whatever. No, they were charging too little. It made me suspicious. Had they charged, even with the hotel needing the makeover it does, had they charged $100, $119.9, I would have felt perfectly comfortable. I would have paid for parking, which they did not even charge me for. It was free. They could have doubled the rate they were asking. I would have felt perfectly comfortable. In fact, I might have felt more comfortable. So when you look at the rate impact, we're going to double it immediately. And we're going to make the hotel feel that way. You saw some of the images in the video. This will feel like a 4-star hotel at 3-star rates. It will be the best value in town. Do I have any vote in the operations? Well, simple answer, no you don't. This is a business. It is essentially a dictatorship. You can't have 484 people deciding on the color of the carpet and what the room rates need to be tonight. Room rates in a hotel change by the minute. Occupancy, you have to really massage this. You have to be hands-on. It is a business. We'll give performance for you. In order to give that performance, we need to be able to control this by the hour. So thanks for watching this section. I hope we have dealt with any of the questions you might have. If not, please email or call us at any time. We're happy to answer. But in summary, you are dealing directly with the actual manager, owner, operators. We're experienced people. This is an existing hotel. There's existing performance. It's a building that's already built. It's about as stable as you look at it. In fact, this is a classic Warren Buffett investment. Thank you very much for watching.